Hi and welcome. My name is Greg Smith. I'm a Senior Curriculum Specialist with McGraw-Hill Education and putting together a short video for you today for parents or caregivers at home who are doing some homeschooling due to schools being closed and this time of isolation due to COVID-19. So right now what we're going to focus on and what resources do your students have at home and how can you help them access those resources. So the first thing we want to know is that students should all have a username and password to access the MyMath Student Center. The teachers in the school certainly have or can supply the username and password to your student. That is the same username and password that you as a parent or caregiver would utilize as well to access all of these resources for McGraw-Hill MyMath. We also want to make sure that there are a couple of different ways to utilize the online resources here. First of all, teachers may have assigned resources digitally to students, and so those resources will be waiting for the students to complete. But there are also resources that you as parent could take part in and use as a homeschooling opportunity even if they weren't assigned by the teacher. So first things first, here we are. We're on the MyMath home screen. This is the Student Center, as we see, and each student in your school or district has their own Student Center. And for our purposes, teachers and students, they can access any chapter or lesson within McGraw-Hill MyMath simply by clicking on this blue, dark blue and light blue band. So you can see if I click here, I have access to every chapter, I have access to every lesson in every chapter. And for our purposes today, we're going to be working on Chapter 4, Understanding Multiplication, Lesson 2, Multiplication as Repeated Addition. Now, as soon as I change over to this chapter and this lesson, all of my resources right here on the front screen will change as well. The first thing I'll see is that I have a video. This video right here, called My Favorite Foods, is all about multiplication as repeated addition and gives kids a really nice background into what we're talking about, and it does everything through food sources, so something very relatable to students. Very nice videos. We also have access to the student's book. So your student may have come home with their McGraw-Hill MyMath textbook. It is a softbound consumable book. Students are meant to use it and write in it, obviously. We also have access to that very same book right here through this ebook button. So if I click on ebook, we will have access to the student text, and here it is right here. So the student text comes up right exactly where we wanted. We're in Chapter 4, Lesson 2. We see that we have access to a lot of different resources on this page, including a pen tool and a highlighting tool and a note taker tool, but maybe just as importantly, down at the bottom of this screen, you have other icons right down here that allow other access points for my students to learn more about the math that's being taught here. So for instance, if I click on the blue play button, we'll have some videos. The green tool button allows me to have some manipulatives digitally and whatnot. I have other resources right down here, and my student has access to all these, and so therefore parent has access to all these as well. Should be noted, there's also a glossary right up here, so if there's any vocabulary or terminology the student's unfamiliar with, that terminology may be listed here. So students who are homeschooling right now because of school closure have full access to their book, both hopefully as a print book that they brought home from school, also as an ebook. A couple of other things right here from the start screen is all of the lesson resources. So those same videos and resources and tools that we saw on the ebook also live right here on the home screen. And below that, a to-do list. So you'll notice that Tuesday, March 31st, I have a virtual teacher video that I'm supposed to have watched as a student. I also have an assessment waiting for me. So that's good to know. How do we get to those things? Great question. Up in the upper left-hand part of the screen, you'll see a menu button. And if I click and open up the menu button, I've got two number one places I'm going to go to, particularly if my teacher has assigned me work digitally. The first place is right here, the homework button. And if I click homework, it immediately takes me to my homework page where I say what's due right now, what's due later, what's past history. You can see due later, there are 6 items due later. If I open this up, I can see what all of those 6 items are, and clicking into each item allows me to, oh, here's a video that shows me understanding multiplication and multiplication as repeated addition. So I can watch this video simply by clicking on it right here. And when I'm done, I can click on the done button. And by the way, clicking on the done button tells my teacher, hey, I watched the video. And they can give me feedback on the watching of that video or assign additional assets to me as well. I also have another video here. This is a virtual item. We have the virtual teacher video. This is a great video because this actually uses a whiteboard and walks the student through the lesson that we're studying in Chapter 4, Lesson 2. And so we're going to have access to this, and students can watch this as they're doing the work in their textbook. And so that's all been assigned to me as by the teacher. I also have some practice page and a self-check quiz. I have another chapter video and a game down here that I've already completed. So that's the first place that I might want to go to as a parent to make sure that, see if my student has any work to complete that has been assigned by the teacher. But you'll remember on that first page, we also had an assessment opportunity available. And those assessment opportunities would live right here behind this assessment button. So as I click the assessment button, it will take me to my assessment page, and I'll see that I have 4 different opportunities: a practice page, a homework page, a chapter test page, all waiting for me. These were assigned at the beginning of this week, and for my student to complete any of these activities, all they have to do is click on the Take Now button, and a new window will open up, and it will walk them through every step of taking this assignment for completing the assessment. Make sure that as your students are doing this as an online assessment, that they have some paper and pencil available so that they can work out problems before they put in the answer as well. So very easy access. If teachers have assigned work, go to the homework button, go to the assessment button. Final thing we want to talk about is what resources are here for you as a parent that you could help your student with and do some homeschooling as well. So I know we have a lot of opportunity in these next few days and weeks to work with our kiddos. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the menu button. We're going to go to Resources. And you'll see here that I have 3 different tabs on my resources. I have my lesson search, I have a keyword search, and then I have any favorites that I might have wanted to put in there. And that's just a quick go-to place. On my lesson search, I can see that I can maneuver again to the chapter and the lesson, and all of the resources for that chapter and that lesson will populate here. You'll see some of the same items that we saw in the homework opportunity. So my students have an opportunity to read those or to work with those, but we also have an enrichment worksheet and a reteaching worksheet and another homework opportunity down here. And you can see that there are actually 2 pages of resources specifically tied to Chapter 4, Lesson 2. And I can also drill down to these very clearly right here at the same time. But if I wanted to do a little bit more, so here's a couple quick items. I'm going to go to my keyword search, and a couple of items here. You'll see that this list of items has expanded because now we're not just looking at the lesson level, we're looking at the entirety of my math resources level on the keyword search. A couple places that I'd like to point to. Right here, a really nice games category. Very easy for me to access for my students, and there are multiple games here, factoring games, vocabulary games, a lot of different opportunities for my students. I also want to point out to this category called More. So the More category, if I click there, I'll see that I have leveled text for my students. So these are books that have been specifically put together to address math opportunities. So it gives my students an opportunity to read and to read about mathematics. Finally, the last thing I want to point to while we're looking at this is I'm going to come up here into the search window and I'm going to type in the word home. So as we click on home, we'll see that we have several different math at home game activities. And as a parent, all I have to do is do the search for home and allow this to populate, and I can click and I get a really nice PDF that sets up a whole game opportunity for me and my students at home. So again, another great way to induce learning at home during this time of school closure, opportunities for my kids to be engaged and active, making sure that we're continuing the learning, making sure that we have an opportunity to respond to teachers by either, again, going into the homework section of my math or into the assessment section of my math. Able to access the student's ebook here, all of the resources, and again, that great resources tab right here where parents and caregivers can access extra resources in my math. Well, again, my name is Greg Smith, Senior Curriculum Specialist for McGraw-Hill Education. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please take care.